Aloha and shalom. We're here for the final quarter activation, which means we're at the last quarter of this monthly cycle that we're all going through as a collective consciousness. So we're experiencing this, of course, in our own individual ways, but also we're in this together. So we're here to remember that and pull out a message of inspiration for the week, a message of guidance for the week, sort of pulling a map that's going to help guide us in the best way possible through where we are at right now with this cycle. I'm feeling like the energies have been really big and intense, and they're going to start to slow down a bit. It's hard to sense that slowing down when, you know, this whole quickening is happening in the bigger picture where consciousness is evolving so quickly. But I just want to say I do feel like there's going to be a little bit more of a break right now. So we're wrapping up this cycle. The final quarter is all about closing up one cycle and preparing to begin another. Last week was the new moon, was the full moon, so we received the fullness of the picture of what was going on. Now that we've really been present with that situation and taken in all the information we could, we're now in that last part of the cycle where we process, where we accept, where we let go now, take from it what we can and let go of the rest and make peace with the situation so that we can create the space for the new moon that's going to come next week. So let me know in the comments where you're tuning in from. New Zealand is in the house. Maryland in the house. Arizona in the house. And of course, I'm in Sedona, Arizona. Switzerland in the house. Good to see you guys. Feel free to share this video while we're live right now with your family and friends. Maybe somebody who could use an inspirational message. Maybe somebody's really struggling right now. Or maybe you have a friend or know a group that you're a part of on here that could really help activate this message even further for the one. Sedona in the house. Woo! Virginia in the house. London in the house. California. Seattle. So feel free to share now while we're live, or you can share the recording when it's done. It will go to YouTube and Instagram also. Just search Rebecca Magic. So you can share with friends who aren't on Facebook. Illinois. Awesome. Portugal. Canada. Awesome. All right. We're worldwide. And remember, each card represents a different archetype. Each card also represents a different angle of the mind, both individual and collective. So we're just shuffling up the mind. We're waking up all the different parts. We're lighting up the neural pathways. We're also lighting up all of reality because all of life is made up of these energies. These energies are the building blocks of reality. So when we touch them like that and we connect with them, we're activating the whole grid. Another Canada, more Arizona, Virginia. And it works the same way with the Hebrew letters. This is a deck of cards I made myself. And remember, it's going to be flipped because we're on a camera. But the Hebrew letters work the same way as the tarot. You can also do it with just numbers. Each letter represents a different archetypal concept. So I'm just waking them up. Thank you in advance to the archetypes, faces of the one, for this message that's about to come through, which means thank each and every one of you. Thank me, thank we. We are these archetypes. We are made up of them. So we're thanking the one in this moment. Ready for this message and the wisdom that will guide us through this week. Starting with the challenge and gift, which is also just the current focus. What's the current focus for this week? The main priority focus. And why is this the focus? What's the foundation of the situation? And then we'll pull an ally from the Hebrew deck. Okay. The challenge and focus for the week. Okay, so we're dealing with fire and 5. So we're dealing with a lot of Leo energy here, right? It's fire, it's 5, it's like the 5th house, that Leo energy, and we're in the sign of Leo right now. And this card is representing competition, for better or for worse. Check it out. This is a very Leo card right now. And I'm seeing how actually this is a key from moving out of that drama we were just talking about and into a more peaceful energy with things not having to be so extreme around every corner, around every turn. And I'll tell you why. When I start to explain this card, you'll understand a little more. So yes, we're dealing with fire. Yes, we're dealing with competition, very Leo energy here. But this archetype, when we unlock the higher aspects of this archetype as it exists within us, we start to embody a healthier version of that fire, a fire that doesn't burn in a way that hurts, but a fire that builds, a fire that inspires, like a spiritual fire. Okay, so this card can actually help us determine where is the drama, why is it happening, how are my choices contributing to this drama, and how can I continue to be in a world that is no doubt inevitably competitive, yet hone that fire to not hurt myself or others. So as you can see, they're all fighting in the card, you know, they're like jousting, whatever, hitting each other with sticks. None of them are actually hurt. They're dressed nicely. I mean, no one particularly looks angry. It's very neutral. So what's happening here is there's competition, but no one's getting hurt because we don't have to hurt each other to healthily compete in this world. Life is a competition of energies. Think about it. The forces of polarity vibrating in opposition is what upholds all of reality. So that union, in a way, is like a competition. I like to really call it like a dance, right? But there is sort of this competition, because what happens in this human experience anyway is that those polarities within us become confused because of our own, you know, the effect that our own opinions and our own ego has on our consciousness. And so we begin to create this competition between the masculine and the feminine forces within our own self, right? It's like the black wolf versus the white wolf inside the head. You've heard this story before, right? And so there's this competition, and we have to learn how to have a healthy competition. We have to redefine competition if we want to unite those forces of polarity, as they are the building blocks of all reality. They make up who we are. They make up what the world is. So we have to have a healthy sense of competition, a healthy definition of competition. And this card helps us to understand what that is. So not only are they, you know, clanking these rods or these wands, these sticks, because they're fighting, you can also see the sticks as the spine or the kundalini energy or the spirit or the shekinah. There are so many words for it. The will, the desire. Our desires are revealed. Our will is revealed through our desires. So they represent all those things. So what we do in this world inevitably is we put ourselves out there, and you have to put yourself out there. It's healthy to a degree, right? If you have to just do it in the right way. So we're out there in the world, and we're going to meet other energies. Our will is going to meet the will of others again and again. Our desires meet the desires of others or clash with the desires of others. But we're out there basically experimenting, right? It's like chemistry. What energy am I bringing to the table, and what energy am I receiving from others? And how are those energies either harmonious or not? And this card tells us it's okay to have competition. You do have to put yourself out there, and there's inevitably going to be the competition, but all you have to worry about is just being yourself and expressing that and putting it out there in a healthy way. Don't expect the competition. Understand that you will receive all kinds of responses from others, right? So why focus on any particular one? Why worry about any particular one? It's a waste of time. I know Albert Einstein has the famous quote, "Great minds will always receive violent opposition." Yet great minds will always receive support as well, and all kinds of energies in between. We don't know. We don't know. Minds will attract what they'll attract. So it's a bigger picture, I like to say. So don't expect a negative response. Don't expect that you're going to be met with some kind of negative competition. You know, for example, many of you might experience it as, well, I don't want to pursue my gift because it's too competitive. There are too many people out there who are already doing it. That's an example of the negative expression of this archetype. You still have to put yourself out there, and your will and your Kundalini energy, your life force energy is unique. So put yourself out there. And also receive the guidance that comes through reflecting on the path of others. Receive what other people are putting out there. It doesn't mean you have to make it your philosophy or your belief, but hear it. That's what this card is asking us to do. This is the focus of the week. It's saying, yes, put yourself out there. Yes, receive the energy of others. It's a time to learn. It's a time to grow. It's a time to express our creativity and see how the world receives it and reflect on that and receive guidance from that, from those reflections, have realizations because of those reflections. And this is, you can see how this is really connecting to that Leo archetype. It's saying creativity, joy, connecting with others. Put your heart in it, okay? This is the suit of wands, so it's fire, it's the spirit. You got to really put your energy into it in a big, powerful, creative way, in an inspired way. So, for example, you wouldn't want to say, oh, I'm gonna hide away. This is not the time to hide away. Show your gift, okay? And then next step, don't just show your gift. Have the best expectations for how you want it to be received. Really see it being received. Imagine what it's going to be like sharing your gifts. That's inspiration to get yourself in motion to even begin doing that. Expect positive responses. Look for those. Project that. Don't expect negativity or competition or resistance. Don't expect the resistance. Know that there will be all kinds of responses. You still have to do what you have to do. You have to be you. You have to put yourself out there no matter what. So you may as well project a positive receptivity. And perhaps there's something in your heart when you're trying to do that that's telling you there's some refining that needs to be done with your plan or your strategy and how you're going to express your gifts. Maybe you realize in a very honest way, your heart tells you that once I share this gift, it could actually be offensive to someone. It could actually be harmful to someone. Then that's how you know to refine, to look within again, to do further soul searching to see how you're going to share that gift. These are just examples. Okay, so this is the focus of the week. How are you expressing your fire in a healthy way? And meaning all of your healthiest expressions of your fire, your soul, your spirit, who you really are, your creativity, your true spiritual gifts. How are you expressing them? How are you sharing them? And how can you share them in a way that's going to be the most beneficial for the one? In a way that is going to be your offering. Okay? And don't be afraid of receiving the advice or opinions of others as well. So this is the focus of the week. Put yourself out there. See others in the light of who they are. See others how you want to be seen. The way that you want to be seen so clearly for who you are. You want this fire to be received, right? Like, this is the gift of my expression. I want you to behold it, right? Everybody wants to be seen. See others. See others. The more deeply you can see the light of others and see the spirit of others beyond the material facade, beyond the veil, the more you'll be seen in those ways. It's Leo, light, fire, sun, spiritual light, right? So that's a theme right now too. It's like, how are you offering that purity of that light of the essence of who you really are? How are you allowing that to be expressed? Because see, if that's what all these guys are expressing here, they can never possibly even hurt each other. They're only going to do positive things by sharing that light, because then when that fire, when this wand rubs against this wand, it's going to create a fire that's going to inspire and not burn. So you can see how this process goes from individual to collective and is helpful to the one the whole way through, okay? So it starts with just you about, okay, what is the stick I'm holding in my hand representing that fire, that light, the spirit of who I really am? And how can I make this my offering to the world, right? And then it's also, we have to expect that from others. We have to see others in that light. That this is them offering that light of who they really are. And when you can see that light, you begin to see through or beyond the veil to that light. You become more attuned to it, and you start to have that, as a reflection for others as well. So then they're able to see it in you and tell you that. Does that make sense? You understand what I'm saying? So what do the sticks represent? It's that spirit. It should be our offering, which is of the highest light, that would never do harm. But in fact, instead, what they're really doing here is, like, you could see it as friction, but a healthy friction. So when the sticks rub together, it creates that perfect, spiritual, positive fire. How can we work together in that fiery, beautiful way instead of destroying each other? How can we bring our light and unite it to create an even greater light? And why are we focusing on this? What is the foundation? Page of Swords. Swords is the suit of challenges. Pages are the youthful aspects of the suit. So if we're trying to reach a new way of looking at challenges, setting a new pattern, reprogramming our minds to deal with challenges in general, all challenges, big and small, in a way that is the most effective, right? It's like we're collectively saying deep inside, I really want this. I want to activate this archetype within myself and the whole to be able to get through challenges with greater ease, with greater grace. And if we don't do this work, we'll never get there. Think about it. If as a collective, we want to get to this place of being this, like, look, I'm ready for action. I'm ready to face any challenge. I'm, look at him, young, youthful, open-minded, ready to act, fully energized. I'm ready for whatever challenge comes my way. If we want to be able to, as a collective society, feel that strength, and what's more is go beyond that, right? Go beyond that. I'm ready to face any challenge, but we're in this together. We know that everything is one. So what challenge is there really, right? To get to that highest activation of this archetype means to think like that. To have the sword in hand and go beyond, I need to use this for a challenge, but that this sword is also my truth and I'm upholding it, right? There's so many different ways to look at this card. But if we want to get to this place of feeling like ready for anything, and with my truth as my sword, then we need to stop fighting each other, because we're all wasting our time, distracting ourselves, not only fighting each other, but all the different ways in which we express competition, that competitive nature negatively. So, and right, that's what we do with our ego. Think of 5 as like senses. Think of 5 as like you have a head, 2 arms, and 2 legs, right? Like the 5 parts of the human, right? So it's very much the number of this earth, 5. The number of senses and the number of man. So it's really looking at how we are human and how our egos make us put ourselves out there in ways that are actually harmful to ourselves and to one another. So there are many ways that we're doing that right now. But if we collectively as a society want to get to this place, upholding the truth, feeling ready for anything, then we need to stop dividing. Within our own self, we're divided. We need to stop that and stop the division amongst each other. Okay, so enough of this competing in a negative way. Remember that energetically there is competition in life. How can we redefine that competition from the eyes of nature? How can we redefine from a more energetic level, understanding that this is what our energies look like when we go out there in the world? We're all congregating, we're all crossing paths, and hopefully we're harmonizing. Hopefully when we bump heads or when we, knock shoulders, when we're coming across each other, we're showing up as our best selves. So when my light touches your light, it's beautiful and inspiring. Instead of when my shoulder knocks your shoulder, it's a fight. You see the difference? Okay. We are all coming together constantly. We can't help that. We're literally one. So when we're coming across each other's paths, what are we doing in that moment? How are we doing it? What kind of light are we upholding? Is it a healthy fire that inspires, or is it a fire that hurts, that burns? Okay, so if we want to come to this point of feeling confident in our lives, confident in all of our decisions and all of our challenges, able to uphold the truth, basically to be our best self. If you want to be your best self, then the time is right now to start locking in that energy with the opportunity upon us with this current challenge and focus. How are you showing up? How are you taking responsibility for the light that you carry in the world? How is your fire right now? What kind of expression is your fire portraying, expressing through you? What is that expression of your fire? Is it healthy? How is it either supporting others or hurting them as you cross paths with them? And even your own self, looking at how is my own self-reflection being affected by the way in which I embody my fire right now? Because we can't be proud of ourselves when our fire is being expressed negatively, right? When we're hurting anyone, we're hurting the self. And deep inside, the heart knows that. So of course you can't feel your best then. Of course you're going to have so many problems then from that space. Because the truth within you knows it's always watching. So either we're being a positive expression of the elements in service of the whole, or we've got some imbalance going on with one or another element or elements where we're expressing their characteristics through us in a negative way that is harmful. In the first way, if we're embodying the elements positively, then we feel good. We're like in homeostasis. It's like our very heart is telling us on the most subtle of levels, you're doing good. You can be confident. You can walk confidently. You got this. Because what happens when you embody the elements in a balanced way is you have trust, you have faith, you're connected to yourself and the universe. You have less of these worries and anxieties and fears. You're connected, you're united, you're whole. But when any element, and we're focused on fire right now, is being expressed negatively, deep inside, we know that. And we're not proud of ourselves, and we feel disconnected from our true self and therefore from all of life. So if we want to live confidently and happily, we need to find that balance. We need to embody all of the elements in a way that is healthy, a healthy expression of each of these elements and their traits, and also harmonious with one another. That's the only way that we can, all the way through to the center of our hearts, feel like we're on the right path, feel like we're living our purpose, feel confident, eliminate fear, anxiety, suffering, literally promote the growth of new cells, reversing the aging process, promoting conscious immortality. So, the choice is yours. How are you gonna behave as that fire, as that expression of your light? How is that fire looking to you right now? How can you redefine it? How can you embody it? And then do that with all of the other elements. Okay, and the same ally came up again as last week. It's the resh, so meaning the hieroglyphic symbol associated with this Hebrew letter is a head, rosh. The Hebrew word for head is rosh. So the symbol is a head for this letter. And we talked about this last week. What is the head? When you want to decode the Hebrew letters, what you have to do is associate the archetype to divinity. Same thing with tarot. So what is a head in that reflection when we start to relate the head to the divine? It's the Godhead, right? Which is the unification of the forces of masculine and feminine. It's like the mother and father are the Godhead. And so when we think about Reish as an ally, Reish reminds us to see from that perspective. It reminds us to see through the eyes of the father, mother as one united force. Reish is also connected to card 20 in the Major Arcanum of the Tarot, and that is judgment. Because when you look deeper at the card, well, you'll find many things there. But when you look deeper into Arcanum 20, judgment, you begin to unlock, one of the secrets is that you begin to unlock is that judgment is always happening through your own eyes, because within you is that mother, father, God, right? Within your consciousness is that mother, father, God. That's where you came from, or whence you came from. And so we're always seeing through their eyes. So we're just judging self. This is why only God can judge. There is only one here, right? And so it's like that perspective is inside of you, or that's how we see it from the human perspective. And then judgment is about releasing that perspective so you can look at it. Sort of like an out-of-body experience, you could say. It's like you're releasing that mother, father, consciousness within you to look back at you and judge your own self, analyze your life so that you can make proper decisions. It's hearing what the divine father archetype would say, what the divine mother archetype would say. You can call them masculine and feminine. You can call them positive and negative. Just choose the right words for you, because your mind does like to make associations, so be careful. I like mother, father because it's very helpful from many angles to consider those, to consider intuition and logic, for example, as mother, father is a very helpful way to, in a very familiar way, to access what otherwise could be very inaccessible perspectives. Okay, so you can think also intuition and logic. That's one of my favorite ones as well. You can release the voice of your intuition and logic to look back at you. What does intuition say about the situation? What does logic say about the situation? How can I unite them to serve each other, to serve the one, to serve me, to serve the whole? Okay, so this was last week's ally. It is still the ally now. So it's really showing us stay in that space, stay in that elevated perspective. Don't waver, because that's where the self-deception comes in. Stay in that higher big picture perspective as that mother, father, as that logic, intuition. And that's the only way you'll be able to move through this very fiery, very, egoic period that we're in right now. Remember, Leo is connected to the ego, but it's also connected to the heart, because it's all about the unification of the head and the heart. Leo is about developing a healthy ego, right? It's also connected to the solar plexus. It's about having a healthy self-identity, meaning self, not just your individual, but also collective, seeing your individual self in light of that collective. This is what Leo's all about. So this is the time that we're in right now. And this is really showing us. It's saying, if you want to be ready for anything, and because rightfully so, you have a right conscience, you know what I'm saying? The only way to feel like he looks right here, confident with the truth as your sword, is to really be confident in yourself and in your heart and in your ways and in your morals. Remember, otherwise we stumble, because deep inside we know the truth. So the only way that we can come to this position of really feeling confident in our truth and standing on such solid ground is if we have our ego in check and we're healthily sharing with the world and healthily receiving what the world is offering us as well. This is all what Leo season is about. So it's saying really stay in that higher perspective of mother, father, intuition, logic, that balanced higher perspective, and view your process right now and always through these eyes. But particularly now, like really stay there, because the ego is very tricky. But staying in that higher perspective will help us to also stay in our heart. And if we can stay in the heart and still be in this body, having this human experience, interacting with one another, working jobs, living these little lives that we created, the self-identities, if we can still be in that life, but stay in our hearts, then you win. It's such a balance. We have to have an ego to be in this world, to be in the world that you and I are in. We have to have self-identity. It's healthy so long as it's harmonious with the collective and with the goal that we all share to improve this collective, to bring heaven to earth, right? So stay in that higher perspective, right? Think head, top, crown, right? Stay in that higher perspective. Make proper judgments for yourself from that higher voice. And if you do that, you'll walk through this Leo season, walk through all the inevitable competition in life with your heart leading, with your heart's aura so pure and expansive that all of your experiences of inevitable competition in this life will only serve to bring more goodness to everyone involved, to everyone in the world, to all beings, all things. Ego is not bad. Ego is identity. Let it serve the one, and that is the treasure. That is the key. And if you stay in the Godhead perspective, if you stay in that higher perspective, like our ally of the week, Raish, is telling us to do, you will make it through, and you will stay centered in your heart the whole way. And so experiences that maybe in the past would have turned out as arguments or even physical fights or just discomfort and negativity within your relationships, all those experiences that would have been that are now only going to somehow, with that magic of allowing your heart to lead, are somehow going to be mended because you're leaning into that. You're trusting the heart and you're allowing that to guide you through these experiences, which means you're not walking into these experiences with fear. You're not projecting negativity. You're not having negative expectations already making it a bad experience. No, because you're staying in your heart. You're staying with that higher perspective. And so, of course, you're going to accept, logic says, accept the inevitability of competition. And intuition says it's all going to be fine. All of the answers are within you. And so you move through all of the challenges that life will bring us no matter what, but you do it with grace. And your ego begins to be trained from that space of grace. And so you develop a healthier ego, an ego that is in service of the whole. It's time for us to lock this in. Final quarter activation, you guys. Time to really ask, what is our light revealing, and how is it healing or not? And clean ourselves up, clean our act up so that we make our lives an offering that is a service to the whole. Eliminate those lower ego thoughts, words, and actions so that we can feel truly righteous in our behavior and truly righteous in our character, authentically and innocently confident about the way that we are living our truth, the truth. Thank you for doing this work with me. Feel free to share this with anybody who needs this message. Thank you so much also for all of your support and your messages. For those of you who've been following these activations for so long now, and for those of you who are new, thank you and welcome. We do these activations every week. What else? I appreciate donations. If you guys are wondering how you can give back, if any of these activations have really moved you or helped you in any way and you want to give back, that's the best way you can, is by making a donation. My links are on the wall on facebook.com/royalpathtarot. You'll see links to my Venmo, my Cash App, my PayPal. I so appreciate anything that you're wanting to give back as an exchange for these messages. Thank you for everyone who already has. And remember, you guys, if you're wanting a signed copy of either of my books, just reach out and ask. Royal Path 1 is on the major arcanum archetypes and their proper Hebrew letter correlations, which you won't find pretty much in any modern tarot books. And then Royal Path 2 is on the minor arcanum and the elemental suits, going beyond the manipulations, introducing a newer and yet more ancient, only has been hidden, method for using the tarot. So if you are interested in any of this, please let me know. I also have a video course online. Each major arcanum card has a class for 60 to 90 minutes long, giving you information on the actual symbology, the occult symbolism within the art of the cards. So it's very different from my book, but they go really well together. So let me know. I'm also available for one-on-one readings. If you have questions about when, how to make an appointment, pricing, please just reach out, email me, info@royalpathtarot.com, or just send me a private message. I'll see y'all next week for the new moon. Unless you want to see a little more of me sooner than that, you can check out tomorrow in my private group, Shabbat Crew. You can check out the current Torah story in a video I have about that. I post videos and resources every week for Shabbat, and we talk about Jewish mysticism in that group, Kabbalah. So if you want to join, it's called Shabbat Crew. My other private group is called the Archetypal Alliance, if you want to join that. All right, you guys, thank you so much. See you soon. Bless.